Hi everyone, Ron back here and Judy. As you can see here, we've got some posts in the ground around an area that was all grass. One of our neighbours has got a whole heap of dirt that they're getting rid of. Not that we've got a shortage of it, but it was easy just to dump it all there, and we've put all garden edging and whatnot through.
The garden edging is actually the power pole that was sitting at the front of our place.
Yep, and one from just up the road. As you can see there, still digging some more holes and the garden's taking shape as it moves along. And you can see the blue thing in the front there. Well, that's actually a water pipe with a pool noodle around it to stop it from freezing. As you can see here now, I'm on the way from one end of the garden to the other with the rotary hoe on the tractor.
And no, the tractor didn't fall out of the bed, although I was worried.
Yes, well, it's okay. But as you can see here, a bit of grass and stuff in there as well. There's probably a few rocks that you'll see later on come on out, but it is what it is. So it's nice and steady just to work it all up and make it a bit more pliable to plant plants in. As you can see there on the edge there, all the rocks down one side, and there's a bit more of the garden edging down and the geofab to stop it running out from under the bottom. We've still got an end open there because we're putting more rocks and bits and pieces in the garden. But just here, again, the same neighbour that was moving dirt and whatnot had to get rid of some big tree stumps. And these were left on the block from yesteryear, and they were so large I had to cut them in half to actually be able to pick them up with the tractor. That's how big and heavy they were, obviously, as you can see. But yeah, got it all cut in half and moved half at a time in the trailer back around to the garden area and put them in. And it took a bit, but as you can see,
there's even, look at that, there's even little trees growing out of it.
Yeah, there is. As you can see, it's actually back together there. It took a little bit to get the top straight
Yes.
and levelled out. As you can see, that's a crowbar on the ground that was just there. And here we go, a bit of the old bridge. We're putting in a standing post. Triumphantly me standing there.
We did it.
As you can see, a whole heap of plants and mulch in the yard, and all that
and the
mulch.
back's all finished too.
Yes, all the back's finished, and all the mulch at that particular spot was all from off the property that we'd gone and put through with the lovely mulcher that we got from Trident Tractors in Launceston.
And those horseshoes were all off our property too.
Yeah, there was a hell of a lot of shoes that we went through, and with a metal detector, and ones that just turned up while we were rotary hoeing.
Oh, and the strawberries.
Yes, the strawberries. Yes, very prolific. We've been up at the local golf course collecting all the leaves and sticks and twigs. Oh, there's the garden area out the back there, all ploughed up and tilled. Anyway, getting back to it, I've put the forks onto the bucket to try and take all this mulch out of the back of the trailer. I don't actually have a tipping trailer yet, but we'll try and sort that out as it goes along.
He keeps dreaming.
Yeah, well, anyway. Because this stuff is very sinewy and matted with all the bark and a few extra branches and that in there. We're trying to bring all this mulch off of the actual golf course and bring it all home. And
there was a lot of it too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was lots and lots. It took days and days and days of collecting and whatnot to bring it home. And this whole process actually was carried out over, believe it or not, months. Jude's there drawing up a little drawing.
Well, I could see that Ron was really pulling his hair out. I mean, he's got some grey hairs, yeah, but I didn't need to see him bald either. So I decided, right, I'll quickly draw something that I have in my head. I didn't know there were actual things like mulch baskets already out there. Hey, apparently I'm blonde. But I drew this, and Ron's very, very good at making implements, especially from just sketches. And so Ron did.
Okay, everyone, you would have seen on the video the construction from a drawing on a piece of paper. This is through to a finished implement. Now, again, it's not pretty. It is functional, literally functional. Mad Max, he'll be proud of it. I guarantee it. But what it comes down to, it's a rip-off, in a manner of speaking, of a rock bucket. Catch-22, we needed it for mulch. One of the neighbours, not that far away, a couple of kilometres or so, actually had a rock bucket that would fit onto my tractor. And I went and borrowed it, and what it literally come down to was his rock bucket was somewhat shorter. There are lots of different types and varieties that come down to availability, time, cost and all that sort of stuff as well. His rock bucket was only about sort of yay long, and it was literally from there through to about here-ish wide without going to too much hassles. I made it far longer. Obviously, it's built considerably stronger because, again, this isn't just a rock type bucket. It's actually used for when we go through and take off all the mulch on the actual golf course or anywhere else. Now, it serves us a couple of purposes because of all of the sinewy material, the bark and the branches, and then the layering of all the leaves and that. It's very hard to get through, including trying to use a mulch fork. It was just very frustrating and time consuming, and it breaks your back trying to do that sort of stuff. So these extra long pieces at the front there are good for literally just flipping the bark and the stuff apart a bit so I can get more penetration in the way of picking it up. But it also helps when you're on the golf course to not dig up the golf course. As it goes further back, I've just used some mostly scrap material for most of the build on this. Some old fencing panels, some galvanised fencing panels. I tied them in and then I've welded them in along the back and the front as well, and along the sides. And I've got, again, bigger parts of Rio and round bar here. Now, it is, as I said, not pretty. It's functional. It's built very, very strong because this attachment's going to be around for a very long time. And I guarantee I'm going to use and abuse this particular implement. Again, everything is basically all second-hand material and stuff that I've just had in the paddock or the neighbours were throwing away and stuff like that. Even some stuff some of the fence panels I salvaged from down at the tip, just to reuse it because it was only going to go into a metal bin and just be squished up. Only parts I actually did get made were the hitch parts because I didn't have material this thick laying around. Now I've got welders and plasma cutters and MIGs and TIGs and stick welders and drills and everything else. I had to buy the material in a certain size, and with the place I was getting it from, they also had a plasma cutting table there as well. And the cost, the time and effort for me to try and do this at home, and it wouldn't have been this pretty, it paid for me to get them to do this for me. And I still have numbers of these left over, and I specifically did that because I know at some point I'm literally going to make another implement because it suits and it needs to be purpose built for what I'm doing. But apart from that, on the back of the implement here, you can see where the cameraman, where you can see I've welded these on, and this has already gone and been used and picked up huge amounts in the vicinity of 60 to 80 cubic meters of this material off of the actual golf course and have been brought back. But I'll show you the material. And you can see it here on the side here. It has rotted down considerably. It was nearly half that size again, but with rain and weather and all that happening, it was piled there and hadn't gotten back to since, and that's been numerous months since then. Okay, from that lovely little drawing on a piece of paper to an actual implement. It's not pretty, it's functional. Eat your heart out, Mad Max. I tell you, we can do just about anything down here in the wild west of Australia. Here's the mulch basket in action. It's also quite functional as a rock basket. Yes, there are rock baskets out there, but we needed something a little bit deeper and somewhat wider than was readily available on the market. And as you can see, because of all the extra bark and the leaves and bits of timber in there, it matted it up very heavily, and I couldn't pick it up with my normal 4-in-1 bucket. It just didn't work like that. But again, it's not pretty at all, but it is functional for what I needed to do, and it's built exceptionally strong to do and carry out what we need it to actually physically do. And as you can see, down on the golf course, actually picking up more of this material. You can see the brown dead patches underneath all of this because it was left there too long. But as it moves along from the picture or the image before to now, that was numerous weeks / even up to months in between coming backwards and forwards due to all the lovely weather in Waratah, because it's one of the wettest places in Tasmania.
Plus, this particular golf course, they have tournaments on the course. So this all had to be done, so it was all looking pretty in time for the tournament.
And in the background there as well, you can also see some of the trees that were still down with all the weather damage that is now at the moment producing lovely heat for firewood. I've got the flail mower there, and I've laid some out on the ground because it's got lots of leaves and bark and branches and all that in there, and I'm using the flail mower to try and mulch it up and break it down somewhat so it rots down quicker. A little bit dusty, but you can see some of the branches that are a couple of feet long there, and the flail mower chews all that sort of stuff up, no hassles or dramas. What it looks like before and what it looks like after. Hi everyone, I'm back here again. We've gone probably at least a good 6+ months along from when we started planting the paddocks and fixing them all up. And as you can see at the second, we've got some lovely grasses that are growing through, and also some native ones that have regerminated in amongst all of this as well. We need to go through and collect seeds shortly. We're about to go through and actually harvest off all the nice seeds that are coming off of this, and they're lovely and firm, ready to rock and roll. Once we go through and cut them and that, we'll disperse them across through the paddocks. We did have hassles with ducks eating a considerable amount. Some areas they just peeled it right out. It looks all good from this angle in some spots in the paddock, but it's very sparse because the ducks just got in there and ate everything when it was yay tall. And they didn't chop the top, they literally pulled the whole thing out of the ground and just ate it or just spat it on the ground. So I've got to go through and replant and put another couple of $1,000 worth of seed in there. But hopefully this will help us as well. Okay, well, we'll get back to you soon when we go through and we do the harvest of the seed and all that, and we put it and disperse it back across the paddock. Talk to you again soon. Okay everyone,
something we didn't think of putting in to give you a bit of knowledge. These all look like dandelions. They're actually not. They're a false dandelion, a different family altogether. The bees, the bumblebees, the native bees, all love them because they've got nectar and pollen and that in them. Go away, fly. And we've got a few unfriendly buggers too. One of the things we found out about these not long ago, false dandelions are not very good for horses or animals in that aspect. They have no hassles or dramas when it comes to cattle, as far as I'm aware, but with horses and all that sort of stuff, it gives them quite a lot of discomfort, especially when there's lots of it in the paddock. It can be quite a bit of a harmful thing for people that have horses, especially with the false dandelion. Easiest way to tell though, other actual dandelions only have one stalk and one flower on the end. These ones here come up and you literally have a stalk that has, whoop, there goes half of it, multiples on it. That's the easiest way to tell the difference between a true dandelion and a non-dandelion. This is a false dandelion. A normal dandelion will literally just have a long spike and only ever have one flower. It will never branch. That's the easiest way to tell about it. Just thought you'd like a little bit of trivia along the way when you're doing grasses and stuff for your paddocks.
On the property here, you can see the really dark green plant that's there. It's called Broom. Now, I have touched base on Broom and Gauze. As you can see how thick and green it is.
Okay, everyone, getting back to Gauze and Broom, and thank you to one of the subscribers in regards to how it's pronounced properly.
Goss.
Goss.
Yes.
I'm probably butchered the name as it was obvious, but as it goes through, you can see the two different weeds that are just all over the show. These are introduced species from overseas. Again, the broom, they actually used physically as broom. They would put numerous of them together, it'd dry out and you would sweep the floor, for the lack of a better word. And then you've got the gauze. Now, or goss. These are exceptionally poisonous to pretty much horses, cattle and all that. Some of the newer leaves are quite okay for things to eat on moderation, but again, they are also poisonous. You won't get basically much in the way of cattle or horses eat them. Goats and sheep and that, they love this stuff. They just clean it up like there's no tomorrow. But with the gauze, this stuff here has lovely big spikes. I mean, lovely flowers. I mean, look at them. And the pretty yellow ones, and they're everywhere. They look really pretty. The bees and all that love them, but they're not real good for having in yards or in properties and that, and it's a case of you've got to try and clear them out. But just having a look through here, I mean, even just into this section here, I'm only walking in, and some of the stuff I had on the property was this big and a bit bigger, but not as old as this stuff that's next door. The seeds to all of the above last obviously as well for years and years and years, and there's even some seeds, or seed pods I should say, here on the broom, and oh, there goes a seed. When they actually pop, which you'll hear in the next video, the seeds and that can be spat anywhere between 5 to 10 metres away. Seeds are also toxic and they sit into the ground for long durations as well. But again, this stuff isn't very appetising to most critters, and it's definitely stuff we're trying to get rid of out of the property, and it has taken a long time to do it. Still hear them popping away.
as you can hear, the helicopters are coming through. We didn't know what was actually going on at the stage, but earlier on that day, we'd seen huge amounts of fire trucks going through, and also a whole heap of helicopters, as you can now see, going through, and we wondered what was going on. On the 3rd of February 2025, there was a dry lightning strike happen. There was a storm a few days beforehand, and it's only just started to sieve down the food chain, or should I say the grapevine, that there's been a decent fire start. Now, the fire itself actually took in 100,000 plus hectare. Blaze continued all the way through mid-February, and it went several weeks, and was declared a major threat to communities in the area. And, well, we happen to be in the area as well. But that'll all be quite obvious shortly. The helicopters themselves, and again, all the fire trucks kept coming through for weeks on end, in and out on a regular basis. Now, reason for the helicopters, areas through here in Tasmania have exceptionally steep cliffs and valleys and stuff like that. There are no roads there. There is zero access. So they were using them to try and stop fires going into certain areas. You can see here, there's a little bit of a mist happening in the pattern of the weather at the second. Basically what it is all the smoke coming through. And you can see a bit more smoke as it goes along, and it's getting thicker and thicker as the days go on, because of the direction of the wind that was heading towards Waratah. In the distance there, the fires and all the smoke coming through. It got to such a horrific state where, as you can see, the hills in our area, you couldn't see any of them at all. Even down where I'm out there cutting down all the seed crop that we put in to try and regrow better pastures and stuff like that, which we wanted to try and keep and let grow for a bit longer. We got out there and cut it down because the fire hazard itself was heading our direction. And again, the smoke, as you can see there, is nothing compared to what it got to. It literally got to where you couldn't see probably any more than maybe 100, 200 feet at a time in certain spots there. But I'm out there chopping down all the cover crop that we've put in to make sure it's down. Just there you can see where Waratah is and all the fires. Oh, more power poles, lovely.